Okay, so I know I said I was going to do Katawa Shoujo first, but I can't be bothered to record that because I need to do a bunch of bullshit. So here's the way we all go. Never played this before, it was on sale on Steam, so I decided to buy it. And I needed content, so let's start it. I really think you should tell her, you know. I know, but are you scared? My eyes flicker open. I wake up in the compartment of a train. My head is leaned back against my seat, a strand of drool dropping from the corner of my mouth. Ugh. What? Wincing, I wipe it away from the back with the back of my hand. Drooling at my age? This isn't very mature. I thought I'd stopped drooling when I stopped doing that when I was a kid. I need to get it together. Act more like an adult. That's what I keep telling myself, but it never seems to work out. It's partially why I decided to take this trip alone. This isn't some kind of crazy coming-of-age quest for maturity kind of adventure, though. I'm not going to go to far-off lands and slay dragons or pull swords from stones or anything. I doubt I could do that even if I tried. I'm just going to visit my grandparents, who live all the way out in the countryside. That's all. Still, I think it'd be nice to go back home. I've only been away for 2 years, but it almost feels like a whole lifetime. I wonder if anything will be different. 2 years might seem like a short amount of time, minuscule when you consider how old the Earth is, but a lot of things can change over the period of only a few days, yet alone years. I hope Emu's okay. It'll be strange seeing her face again. She sent me some photographs, but a photo isn't the same as seeing a real person in real life. And I wonder. I lean my head against the window, staring outside. The rough movement of the train jerks my head against the glass, bumping my forehead and knocking my teeth together so they chatter, but I disregard it. I can see fields, dyed dark blue under the evening sky. I'm not in the city anymore. I'm far away from my new house, my new school, my new friends. Saki, Miho, and Yuna. What are they doing right now? Saki with her love of horror stories. Miho, who always scores the highest in karaoke. Yuna, who wears red ribbons in her hair and keeps falling asleep in class. But these idle thoughts soon fade away. I'm going back home. And maybe I'll see her. She was always quiet, never talking to anyone other than me. Will she be different now? I hope she's at least made a few new friends. If she hasn't, then would it be my fault? No, that's no good. Why am I worrying already? I haven't even made it to the village yet. Stupid. I chastise myself, shaking my head in an attempt to mounting feelings of guilt. I don't want to ruin my trip before it even begins. But if I did, it wouldn't be too surprising. Maybe I deserve to feel bad. I should have told her. Why didn't I tell her? Because you were scared. I muttered this under my breath. Doesn't matter. Nobody can hear me. I'm the only person on the train after all. Creepy. Darling, welcome back. It's good to see you again, lad. You want a hand with your luggage? I stand outside the small, dilapidated train station, gripping my single suitcase tight in hand. Since I'm only going to be here for 3 days, I don't bother to pack much. I can make do with only a few pairs of underwear and my pajamas. I don't need anything else. The grandparents are standing before me. They've come to greet me at the station with wide smiles, comforting in their familiarity. Their home is only 5 minutes away from the station, so they didn't bring the car. This is probably a good thing. My mother keeps saying that my grandfather's eyesight is getting worse and worse. Nowadays he can hardly read the newspaper without the aid of his thick glasses, which he hardly ever wears, given he keeps losing them. And yet he's still allowed to drive a car, something he frequently does, according to my mother, just so he can feel superior to other people. At least this is a fairly rural area, so there aren't that many cars around to hit. You don't need to carry anything, Grandpa. I'm good. I turn my grandfather's smile and make a show of lifting my suitcase, trying to prove that I can handle it. He, however, seems skeptical. Nonsense. You made all the effort to come out here, and on that blasted train too. You must be exhausted. I'm fine. I'm not a child anymore. Grandfather peers at me, frowning. Maybe he's trying to verify the validity of my statement. I wonder if he's forgotten how old I am. What's this? You still look like a youngster to me. I don't know what voice these give. Hey, I am 16. And I'm no older than 60. The gulf between us is wide as the Kitakami River. My grandmother giggles. Now, come now, dear, don't be silly. You're getting old and your eyes aren't what they used to be. Nonsense. My eyes are just fine, Chio. And yet you keep wearing that ugly shirt. This shirt isn't ugly. It's very cutting edge, I'll have you know. All the youngsters are wearing them. Our dear grandson isn't wearing one. To his detriment. It enhances a man's natural charm and shows off his true character. It shows he's starting to get senile, perhaps. Chio. You can be a very cruel mistress. Now, don't bully Chan too much, you old bore. I'm just saying it like I see it, Chio. To me, he'll... To me, he'll always be a brat. On the contrary, I think he's grown up to be rather handsome. Handsome? I don't know about that. Well, you know what they say. Good things come in small packages. The way I see it, you're just being modest. I don't know if being short is the same as being modest. My lack of height wasn't a conscious decision that I made. If anything, I'd like to be a couple of inches taller. That way I wouldn't get teased so much. Nope. Being the shortest boy in your class is pretty depressing. Nobody likes being picked last when teams are being formed in PE. Nobody likes being laughed at. I'm not really modest, you know. I think you are. You're just proving my point, dear. Well, I has raised you well. I don't know how to say that. You're such a little gentleman. Little being the operative word. You must get it from your side of the family, Chio. You've always been tiny, haven't you? Yes. I simply have a weak constitution. See? Even though he's 2 years older now, he's still a runt. I think you should let me carry your case, lad. It's for your own good. No, I'd feel bad. You don't need to put yourself out for me. Grandmother grins, beckoning me close. I follow her crooked finger as she leans in towards me, whispering into my ear. Don't mind him, dear. He just wants to show off. Let him carry your case. It'll give him something to boast about with the neighbours later. Oh, well, if that's how it is. No matter how old this man gets, he's just a child at heart. Grandmother and I laughed together, co-conspirators, before I turned my attention back to my grandfather. Alright, I reconsidered. I guess I am a little tired from the journey. You can carry my case if you want. Excellent. I see you talk some sense into him, Chio. You used your feminine charms, did you? Mm-hmm. Even at the age of 80, I still have it with me. It must be all the homegrown vegetables we eat. Are good for your skin? Better than the vegetables at those so-called supermarkets. You got that right. No tomatoes taste as good as yours, Chio. Ha ha ha. My grandparents laughed together, sounding carefree. I feel something lift from the pit of my stomach. Could it be anxiety? I started to get worried during my journey here, but maybe those fears were unfounded. I started to get worried during... simply seeing my grandparents has made me feel more at ease. I guess I really do belong here. It's where I was born, after all. How long have I been playing? 10 minutes. Ooh. Little pause there because I forgot to put my timer on and thought that 10 minutes was a good opportunity to do it. Okay, how was the journey here, darling? It was fine. Took a while, so it was a little tiring, but other than that... Yes. It really is a long journey. It's 6 hours or so, isn't it? Something like that. I had to change a few times, though, and wait around for a while. So maybe it was more like 7. 7 hours? My grandmother tuts disapprovingly. You poor dear, you must have been dreadful. You need to eat more. Here, take this. Thanks. I look at my loaded plate with suspicion. Even though grandmother said all this stuff about me being grown up and handsome, did she really believe it? If she did, why'd she make so much food? It's almost like she's trying to feed up a starving kitten. There weren't that many people on the train though. The last 2 stations I was the only one. It wasn't too stressful. Oh well. This is a very small village. Not many people come up here. And more people have been leaving. Huh? But why? Because there aren't enough jobs to go around. It means there's no reason to stay. Now most of what's left here is just us old people. It's sad, really. I don't think I should ever like to leave. It's just so peaceful. And the green beans that grow in these parts are the best you can find. Ho ho ho. Ho ho. I even hear they're trying to discontinue the train line here. Guess it makes sense. It's hardly ever used and the current track is getting old. Huh? Yeah, it's really sad. I pick up my dinner despondently. Even though I don't live here anymore, hearing that the village is starting to decline is just a little depressing. All my childhood memories were created here, every single precious moment of my youth. Going out for walks in the forest, catching cicadas in the summer with a net and an emptied mayonnaise jar. My extravagant and slightly unrealistic plans to build a tree fort with Emu, which never managed to become a reality. And, of course, there was her, best friend, Noelle. Don't know how to say that. Hey, Chen. God, it's been so long. Saki's voice, wry and quietly sarcastic as ever, comes through to me from the other end of the phone. The phone in my grandparents' home is fairly old, more of an antique than a fully functional means of communication, and it distorts her voice, just as ripples across water can mar a reflection. What the hell is this writing? Even so, I recognize it. How could I not? What kind of tone could only belong to Saki? I know, and sort of, with a certain amount of fear, love. I smile, shaking my head. She's acting like she hasn't seen me in years. It hasn't been that long. Only a couple of days. But it feels like an eternity. I've been so bored. I'm sitting on the floor, cross-legged, the cord of the phone snagged about in my lap. My hair is damp from the bath and my face feels slightly flushed. I think I've used a little too much hot water. Oh, okay, that's how that works. Still figuring out the controls to this, because every visual novel has different things. I've always loved hot baths ever since I was a kid, but sometimes I go overboard and emerge from my long soaks and uneasy legs, my skin bright pink and puckered like a prune. I yawn, holding one hand against my mouth, and shift slightly, balancing the phone against my shoulder in the crook of my neck. How can you be bored? You have all those brothers and sisters to look after, don't you? Ugh, don't remind me. I only just got them all off to bed. So unfair. My parents wanted to go off for a romantic holiday. They should have thought twice about having so many kids. Why should I have to stay behind and look after them just because I'm the oldest? But you wouldn't have wanted to go on holiday with them either, would you? With my parents? Of course not. I'd rather die. Do you know they've gone to Okinawa? Who wants to go to Okinawa? I went there on a school trip a few years ago, and it's a complete tourist trap. Tacky merchandise everywhere, and it's also bright and noisy, not to mention the weather. Saki has a very pale complexion, which she guards jealously. She always slavers on sunscreen inches thick, whenever so much as a single glint of sunshine can be seen peering out from behind a cloud. And I don't know why you're so unhappy. If you didn't want to go with them in the first place, then there's no problem, right? It's the principle of the thing, that's all. I'm hurt. They didn't even invite me, because they knew you wouldn't want to go. But I still would have liked an invitation. Would have at least given the vague illusion that my company is in high demand this holiday. What about Miho and Yuna? Yuna went to stay with her big sister for a few days, and Miho's out camping with her parents. Saki sighs. This is so pathetic. I'm the only one who doesn't have anything to do. Not a single thing. Taking care of your siblings is a noble job. Yeah, noble. Saki laughs dryly, without a trace of humor. If you think watching reruns of for hours on end is noble, then sure. Yeah, kinda liked Haiti. I had the whole series on VHS, and I used to rewatch it regularly, even up until my early teens when I was feeling bad. That is, until my mother rummaged through my bedroom when I wasn't home and threw all my old VHS tapes out. I was pretty sore about it at the time, but I still am actually. Most of those shows didn't get aired on TV anymore. I liked it too, but that was when I was about 5. But almost all of your siblings are 5. I know. It's so depressing I could scream. However, I will refrain because that would wake those monsters up again. It sounds rough. You have no idea. You haven't known true torture until you've had the task of putting 4 young children to bed. God, I can't breathe. Having met Saki's siblings several times during my trips to her home, I know better than to berate her. Although I generally like young children, Saki's siblings are something else altogether. They're more like gremlins than cute kids, and they are so loud too. No wonder Saki always has such dark bags in her eyes. Living in a small house. Oh god. A small home filled with tiny children prone to waking up in the very early hours of the morning and slipping into their big sister's bed must be incredibly exhausting. Walls of text, not good at them. It's getting so bad that I've started to think Okinawa would be better after all. Okinawa! What a joke! Why couldn't they go somewhere classy like France or Italy? And if it absolutely has to be Japan, then Ginza would definitely be the best choice. My parents have, like, no sense of style. None whatsoever. I sigh. Anyway, I hope you're having a good time at least. I'm not entirely sure yet. Only just got here. Your train journey was that long? Yeah. Like 7 hours or so. I would hate that so much. Being cramped on a train with strangers coughing on me. It really wasn't that bad. Pretty quiet, really. That's good, I suppose. More than can be said for my day. A pause. Hey, Achan. What is it? I hope you have a good time on your trip. Honestly. I'm not just saying it. Yeah, I know. I hope you get along well with all your friends. Your old friends. And, I shuffle around trying to get comfortable. My bare feet, toes twitching, or starting to feel strange, slightly heavy. Have they gone numb from sitting cross-legged on the wooden floor for so long? If you ever feel overwhelmed, you can always call me. I probably won't be doing anything interesting. If anything, I'll appreciate having someone to talk to other than the monsters at the local playground. The mothers at the local playground. That was a slip. Sure. I'll try to keep in contact if I have time. But I am going to be back in 3 days. Just try and hold out until then. I'll do my best. I don't know if that pause was intentional or not. 3 days of endless heyday reruns and pillow fights and takeout pizza. I'll have to grin and bear it, suppose. Not that Saki grins very often. That would conflict with her pale-skinned, dark-eyed, eternal Queen of the Night appearance. Oh, and one more thing. Make sure you bring me back a souvenir. I need some kind of excitement lingering on the horizon to get me through this living nightmare. Otherwise, I might snap and stab myself in the eye with a wax crayon. Holy crap. I lie on my futon, staring up at the living room ceiling. Since my grandparents' house is pretty small, there was nowhere to put me other than here. Still, I don't mind. Reminds me of the times when I was a child. I used to stay here overnight when my parents were busy. I would lie on the same futon, this same living room, with the lights turned on, reading comics and eating slices of stolen tangerine. My finger would always get stained with yellow from the rind of the tangerine, and I never had the foresight to wash it off before I went to sleep. My grandmother would see my yellow fingers in the morning and see the missing tangerines, but she never scolded me. Instead, she asked in an overly theatrical tone of surprise, Where have the tangerines all gone? I'd say, I don't know, maybe it was a bear. They were really fun times. But I'm not 10 anymore. I'm getting older and I'm too big for this futon now. The tips of my toes are poking out from under the sheets. I close my eyes and curl up into a ball, listening to the sounds of the cicadas outside. The windows are all shut, but I can still hear them. This is something I forgot after living in the city for so long. The small details vanish from my mind as though they were never there at all. No matter where you live, there's always background noise. In the city, it's cars and drunken arguments at 2 AM outside your apartment. In the countryside, it's cicadas. Cicadas on the wind. I snuggle in my blanket. For some reason I feel cold, and not just my toes. All of me. Oh god, sorry. My whole body. I shiver. Maybe it isn't the weather. Maybe it's my mind. I'm probably overthinking things. I always do. Thinking about tomorrow. Thinking about her. I should have told her. Why? Didn't I tell her? It's the last thought I have before I fall into a deep, dreamless sleep. Sunlight streams through the window. I can feel it brushing against my face, trying to snake itself through my closed eyes. Curl up even tighter into a ball like a hibernating hedgehog. The new day crept upon me far too fast. I haven't had any time to prepare myself yet. I'm still tired and my feet are cold. It's what I get for sleeping on a futon slightly too small for me, I guess. I can't hear any cars. I can't hear any people. Everything's still quiet. Maybe too quiet. I start to fantasize, making up imaginary scenarios of natural disasters, nuclear war, a zombie apocalypse. Where have all the people gone? It takes me a few moments to remember where I am. I'm not in the city anymore. I clicked a thing. Oh god. I sigh, breathing in the cool country air. It's invigorating, waking me up more thoroughly than a bucket of cold water could. Now then, where should I go? Who should I see? Amu told me in a letter I received a few days ago that she was going to spend most of the Golden Week working in her parents' cafe. Since it's only 11 AM, it seems likely she'll be there. In that case, if I want to pay her a visit, I should dig up my old bike from my grandparents' back garden and take it for a ride. It takes about 40 minutes to reach the town where the cafe is by foot. Probably slightly longer if I walk. I haven't been on a bike in a long time. Thinking about it makes me feel a bit nostalgic. The wind in my hair, smell of the flowers in the fields, the earth under my tires. It's an enticing idea. But on the other hand, there's always Noelle. I definitely owe her a visit. Yeah, it's been so long. Can't help but feel anxious. But I know one thing is certain. If I keep deliberating like this, I'll never get anything done. Okay, so do we want to go visit Amu or go visit Noelle? I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that, so I'm going to pronounce it how I want. Let's go visit Noelle. I stand in front of that house for the first time in 2 years. It feels almost unreal, like a dream. The only thing that reassures me is that this is reality is the anxious beating of my heart, the knot of worry coiled up inside my chest. I want to turn, I want to run, but I know I despise myself for it. I've come this far already, so I can't turn back. I need to focus my breathing, steady my heart. Breathe in, breathe out. Look at the house and remember. This is an old village with roots that can be traced back centuries. Most of the houses here are wooden, long-lasting remnants on an older time, constructed almost a century ago. In comparison, Noella's home is strikingly modern, a large structure with glass windows and a garage. To my younger self, it seemed almost like a palace, a home for a princess. I used to come down this path on my bike every few days when I was young, often with Amu. We'd watch this home being constructed bit by bit, staring from a distance with wide eyes all the time. It all came together. To me it seemed like magic, but now the The house doesn't look as grand as I once remembered. It seems small and somehow shrunken. It's probably because I've been exposed to so many towering skyscrapers in the city. I don't think that's the only thing, though. Somehow the house looks a little bit like a shell, a fossilized remain. Maybe I'm just being sentimental, but the atmosphere feels a little off. It's cold, there's no warmth here. And in the garden, there's a sign that reads quite plainly in large characters, "For sale." This unexpected news makes my eyes open wide. The house is for sale? I had no idea. Emma never mentioned this in any of her letters. Does this mean Noelle is moving? Did something happen? Maybe Noelle is sick. She's ill and her parents don't want to stay in a small village like this any longer, so far away from a hospital. Or it's her parents. Maybe something unfortunate happened to them. An accident, and they're in critical care, or worse, dead. Noella will have to stay with some distant relatives while her old beautiful home goes to ruin. Nah, that's ridiculous. Way too over the top. And maybe her parents got remarried? They're getting divorced and they're selling the house? In that case, Noelle will end up living with new step-parent. Maybe they're cruel, and some wicked stepsisters are... But if I keep going down this line of thought, I'll end up like a fairy tale. Something simpler then. Something more likely to have actually happened in reality, and not inside my overly anxious, melodramatic mind that's been warped from watching too many TV dramas. My parents probably got a new job. That would seem like the most likely option. My grandparents did say more and more people were leaving this village. It's a small place after all, and even if it is very pretty, there just aren't that many jobs here, and driving 40 minutes to work each day isn't practical. And yet, even though I know it's foolish, I can't help but worry. Noelle was always so quiet, so shy, so reclusive. Even though there were only 33 students in her whole school, she hardly ever spoke a word to anyone other than me. If Noelle's parents are moving to a larger town, how will she cope? What will she do? It's not my place to worry. I scoff at myself, shaking my head. I don't deserve to act so righteous, pretending to be so concerned for Noelle's happiness. If I was, I would have told her. If I really valued our friendship, I wouldn't have let it fall apart so easily. My legs remain frozen to the spot. I have to exercise a great deal of willpower to get them to move. Feeling as though I could fall apart at any moment, I make my way up to the front door. I knock on the door. And wait.